I am so glad you convinced me that the family car should be the Defender 110. It is so beautiful inside, it's so comfortable, and it just feels indestructible.
Yes, it really is. I've been waiting a long time for the new model to come out. The Defender 110, I'm telling you, it's my favorite car of all times. It's my third one. You know, I have stories of going off road. The guy managed the group. He was like, "What are you doing in this beautiful car?" I'm like, "I'm going off road." He's like, "Are you sure? Because you can use one of ours." And then they look like Mad Max cars. I'm like, "No, no, 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 we're going to do this." And he was shocked.
Wow. Well, it's great because the Defender has been reimagined for 21st century adventure, and its unparalleled off-road ability as well as its robust interior are invaluable whether you're headed towards uncharted territory or just a weekend of exploration. The Defender 110 tackles challenging surroundings with absolute confidence. The SUV conveys strength outside and in, featuring peerless technology like an intuitive driver display and an award-winning infotainment system. That's my favorite part, to keep you connected no matter where the journey takes you. Adventure is unique to everyone, and so is the Defender. Choose from the two-door Defender 90, the four-door Defender 110, or the larger Defender 130 with the ability to seat up to 8 passengers. You'll find uncompromising performance in all three. So pack up and go even further with the Defender 110. Learn more at LandRoverUSA.com/Defender.
These days, we're all investors, trying to be smart with our money despite our worst impulses. But at iShares, we believe that deep down inside of every investor is a better investor. One that's just waiting to be let out. Explore iShares ETFs and insights and let your best investor out. Visit iShares.com for more information.
This isn't your average business podcast, and he's not your average host. This is the James Altucher Show.
So, Wally Green, second time on the podcast. The last time was like 2017. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was very, very long.
So, you're a world-level ping pong player, one of the best in the U.S. You've played in North Korea. You've had the most outrageous story to get where you are. And right now, we're in Israel together because my daughter is playing in something called the Maccabiah Games. You've been her coach. Before that, you gave lessons to me. You're a co-founder of Spin, which it's like a ping pong / nightclub that's all across the U.S. And everywhere we go, I see people talking to you. Why is everybody talking to you here? Like, literally, we're going downstairs to the hotel lobby. People come up to you and ask for your autograph, and they don't have no idea who you are. On the one hand, I think, and this is no slight against Israel, of course, but I do think you might be the only Black person in all of the country, or a few that I've seen.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, during the opening ceremony, I actually made a funny video which said, "I'm the only Black guy in the whole." Where were we at? It was the
We were at Jerusalem Stadium.
the stadium. I was the only Black guy in the
You
whole
and President Biden
Yes.
and me, we were all there.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe I look interesting. Maybe it's my hair. Some people do recognize me either from table tennis or from TikTok or just like
Yeah, you have a huge TikTok audience, and you have some great advice about how to build a TikTok thing. You've also given me great advice about just competition and how to be in your A game, whether it's, business or sports or whatever. Giving me some advice on that. Of course, you've had an incredible background from childhood on. I still don't think I know the whole story. I think you told me some things, but not all the things. 5 years ago, we did a podcast. I don't think you told me everything then for some reason.
I told you most of the stuff.
I don't even think you've told me about the Germany and the Africa stuff.
Yeah, the Africa stuff we didn't talk about.
So let's talk background, and then I need advice from you. I've known you for a long time. I need advice. I've been trying to find someone to ask this advice to, so I'm going to ask you advice towards the end. And I want to build up my TikTok audience. So anyone listening who wants to build TikToks, you've done a great job. But where are you from, first off?
Originally born in Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York?
Yeah.
In the nice upper class area, or?
No, definitely not. So far from that. I grew up I grew up in the projects and Marlboro projects of the Brooklyn. So definitely was not a nice area. I mean, it's nicer now, but it was definitely not a nice area.
All
Very,
right,
very
this is
dangerous.
a dumb question, but what is a project? And like, I know a project is for lower income people to have subsidized housing.
Yeah.
And I guess it started in the 60s and they built all these buildings. They're the ugliest buildings in New York City and they're up all over the place, particularly in Brooklyn or in the Lower East Side and a couple places like in East Harlem. But what is it? How did your parents get there?
Oh man, I don't even know. It's definitely a place where lower income people live. Rent is usually very cheap. So like maybe you have a 2 bedroom apartment, will cost you like maybe $200, and the government pays the other half of it. If there is
Who
something
do they
to
pay though? Is it like,
I'm not
who's the
sure,
landlord?
but I think I'm not sure, but I think I actually don't even know where or how they pay it. But I'm sure rent is not $200 for the 2 bedroom
Yeah.
apartment. Has somebody has to pay.
So in New York City, like the average, I think this is average for New York City. The average rent for a 2 bedroom apartment is like $8,000. It's something ridiculous.
It's expensive, yeah. And so the problem with the projects is that everyone is in the same boat. So it's not like you have someone who's making making a good living, and then you have someone who's poor. No, everyone there is pretty much on the same level. So that's where a lot of the tensions come from, and that's where a lot of the crime comes from, and that's why the projects when I grew up was very dangerous because everyone is pretty much on the same level. Everyone doesn't have, and everyone wants, and everyone tries to find a way to get what they want by any means necessary.
And so, I mean, when you were growing up, did you experience crime and violence there?
All the time. I mean, growing up as a kid, I grew up with very heavy domestic violence. Like my mom used to get beat up by my stepfather all the time, and
Where was your biological father?
oh, at that time, I knew him, and the only reason I knew my biological father was because when my stepfather didn't want me there anymore, my mom would like throw me away to my father, and then when my mom decided she wanted me, she would just randomly show up at school and just steal me away. So I knew my father because of that, but I don't have a recollection or any memory of my mom and my dad together ever. There's nothing in my memory. So I
Like,
think
were they ever married or?
I think I mean, I'm sure they were married. Actually, that's a funny question.
Yeah, like, how come you don't know the
No,
answer
no,
to
no,
that?
no. Actually, that's a crazy question. You know why? Because my dad has children that are older than me,
Uh-huh.
right? And then children that are younger than me. And later on, I was like, how do I have stepbrothers and stepsister that's older than me if I'm the only child from my mom and my dad, and they're from the women that he's married to before he passed? So it kind of doesn't make sense. It's weird. So I don't know, but later on in life, I started to think about it. Well, maybe he was married, and then I don't know, somehow married my mom, had me, and then went back to the person that he was married to.
But did you ever ask your mom
No.
or your dad, like, hey, how did you guys meet?
No,
How did
never, never. I never ever spoke about it.
Were you ever curious?
I was always curious, but I wasn't allowed to talk about my dad when I was living with my mom.
Yeah.
Like my stepfather was an abusive narcissist, so I never could speak about my dad.
How'd your mom meet your stepdad?
They must have met maybe, I don't know. I think I was probably 1 or 2, and that's why I can't remember. But my stepdad came from Barbados. He's from the islands, and he was actually illiterate, right? So he couldn't read or write, but he had a skill, and he was a master carpenter. Like he could build anything, like really like the highest level of carpentry you could have. That's how he was able to do well in life. But he couldn't read at all. Like he was very illiterate. So like whenever he liked to buy electronics, like stereo equipment, nice cars, like that was his thing. And it is after we moved from the projects, right? But he liked to buy things that you need to read to put together. So I was the one who used to read all the instructions.
Mm.
So and I think that's why I hate reading instructions now. Oh, I just came up with an epiphany. That's got to be the reason. Like I hate reading instructions. So if I buy something, I don't even want to read it. I just want to work on it. But when I was younger, I used to have to read all the instructions. And as a kid, reading instructions to put together audio interfaces, it was crazy.
Yeah,
But
that's boring.
but like I said, he got by because he was a master carpenter.
And like, what did your mom do?
My mom used to work for the government, actually. She worked for the health department. When you remember, they used to have offices at Penn Station. So my mom used to work for the health department, and she worked that job like pretty much all her life until she got upset and just quit, which is kind of crazy because I don't know, I think she had just maybe a year left or
And you get
1
like a
year
pension?
to retire. Yeah, and she quit.
So you mentioned you guys moved out of the projects is because your dad was doing,
Stepfather.
or your stepfather was doing well?
He was doing well, and then they eventually bought a house in Coney Island,
Okay.
like near Seagate.
Were you still living with them then?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At that time, I was living with them even more.
And what you mentioned domestic violence, like
Yeah.
that's sort of like this catch-all umbrella phrase. Like, what was happening specifically?
Like my stepfather used to beat up my mom, like punch her in the face, choke her. Like they would argue, and it would get physical, like physically violent.
And no, of course, there's never any reason for that. Was there anything that triggered him, or was there like?
He had the belief that he was the man of the house and the man was the king, all that king of the castle type nonsense. So that's was his belief. So if you told my mom to do something, my mom was very actually opposite of that. So whenever you told my mom to do something, she wouldn't do it, then you get angry, then you start fighting. And my mom, when she gets angry, she lets you know, and like I said, he was illiterate. So my mom used to use these words. It was, oh man. I just remember one of the words. I still don't even know what it means. I remember my mom used to get angry and they used to fight, and she was like, "You dilapidated son of a bitch." What? Like she would use these words that he couldn't understand, and it would make him even feel smaller as a man because my mom was very smart. She went to college, she had a degree, and he didn't have any of that. So when she would throw these words out in an argument, he would get really, really angry. And then he would try to hit her or choke her and stuff like that.
I mean, how old were you when this stuff was going on?
I was a kid. It's been going on since I was a kid, like probably since I was 2. Like it's something that was always going on.
What would you do while they were fighting?
So I used to get really angry and really upset, and I always was trying to think of ways that I could kill him at a young age. It was always in my mind. Like I remember one time I was opening the cabinet. I climbed up on the kind of like a step stool, and he had these pills that he takes. I didn't even know what they're for, but we used to have roaches. Well, we was back in the projects, and you get roaches in the projects, and then you use like a boric acid. It's like a powder that you pour on the edges of the walls. That the roaches step in it. The boric acid eats their legs, and they eventually die. And I was thinking of ways of how I could replace the stuff that was inside the capsules with the boric acid. And it's crazy because I was a kid with already mindsets of thinking this. Even the old sock in the muffler thing that you see on TV, I thought a million times. And this is after we moved, because we didn't have a car. It was a project after we moved, of would that sock thing really work? Like, could you really take socks and he loved to sit in his car for hours. Like, could you really take socks and put it in a muffler and somehow lock the doors and the person would die? So these are all kinds of
Can you
things.
do that? Does that work?
I don't know. You see it in the movies, but I don't know if it really works in real life.
And so, again, like, would you ever get close to kind of getting in the middle, or did you just try any of these things? Or
So there was a time, we didn't talk about this before, but there was a time where when I was 14, I got sent away to Africa for 2 years. So
what triggered that?
I got caught with a gun in school. And so because I got caught with a gun in school and I had some other prior problems, I was arrested, and they were talking about 10 years. But
Okay, wait. Why did you have a gun? Like, whenever I get caught with a gun in school, it was just because it's like a hobby. But why? No,
Yeah.
But why did you get caught with a gun in school? Why did you have a
So
gun
at
there?
13, I already had 6 guns. So I was in a gang because I had 2 outlets when I was growing up with abuse. Because it wasn't only my mom being abused, it was also me, right? I used to get hit for no reason. I used to get punished for no reason. My stepfather would tell me every single day, "You're going to be dead. You're going to be in jail. You're never going to do anything with your life." And this was every day. This was like constant. Anytime if I would do something good, it would be shot down. So I had two outlets. The first outlet, I was in a gang at an early age. So
And like, was it like, what does a gang do? Like, what did a gang recruit you, or do they sell drugs, or like what? Or they
Well-
just fight other people, and they're like all young kids, and
well, it became like a family. So like in the projects, there can be one gang from that one particular project. So there could be many gangs within the project. In my projects, there was like 3 or 4 different gangs, right? So you technically had to join one, because if you didn't join one, you get beat up from all of them. So at least if you join one, that's your protection and it's your family. And they did everything from selling drugs to all kinds of stuff. But each person level of what they did was different. Like I never got into the drug side of that. Like I was never into selling drugs or any of that. So I did a lot of other stuff, but none of it was selling drugs.
like what? Because you're like 12 years old at this time.
Oh, like fighting, a lot of fighting.
Like gang versus gang.
Yeah, a lot of gang versus gang fighting, or maybe one of your gang members had beef with someone else, then we go jump that person, or maybe one of your gang members had a fight, then we go jump that person, or stuff like that. But
And
yeah,
like, to join a gang, is it like joining? Again, I apologize for all the stupid questions, but I'm
Yeah.
being as naive as possible. Is there like a hazing that
Yeah.
happens, or like what happens to join a gang?
yeah, there is I won't say exactly what you had to do, but there is something that we had to do in order to join the gang, and it was kind of inflicting serious harm to pretty much any individual. And that was how you got in, because you had to show that you were able to do whatever was necessary for your gang members. And if you couldn't do it to someone random, or you couldn't do it, you wouldn't be able to be part of the gang. And not only that, you probably get beat up. So that's where people get caught. People get caught out there when they want to join the gang, right? So you figure, oh, I want to join this gang. The gang's okay, then you have to do this, right? But maybe it's something you really can't do. But the problem is, if you don't do it, you're going to get, it's not like they say, oh, okay, thank you for your application, and then you go home. No, you're going to get beat up badly.
And what does that mean? Like, do they all start punching you? Like,
Yes,
could they kill you?
Possibly. Like you would get severely beat up.
Like an arm broken, a rib
Maybe,
broken?
yes. Maybe even die. Like it depends. Like, and so it puts you in a position to where you may have wanted to join this gang, but at the same time, you're like, wait a minute, I don't want to do that.
Were you afraid when they
Right?
told you what you
Yeah,
had to
of
do?
course, 100%, 100%. But the thing is, now, what do? Do you not do it and potentially, get killed, or do you just do it and live with it? So that's how people get caught into it. 'Cause a lot of times, once you hear what you got to do, or the things that, so a lot of times, you hear the word gang, people think as a young kid, oh, I want to be in a gang because they're going to protect me and this and that. But then when you actually hear what it really entails, then your mind says, no, I don't want to do this. But now you already made the commitment to doing what they ask you to do, and now you don't do it, then that's even worse. So now you have to do it. So now you just kind of like put yourself in a corner, and yeah.
Why did you need to have 6 guns?
Oh, because I actually held the guns for other people in the gang.
Mm.
So other people,
This way, because if you were caught, you were probably the youngest. Or
I was the
what?
youngest. So I was at the time, you don't realize it, but I was the one who was probably going to take the rap for other people's stuff.
Right.
So at the time, you don't realize. At the time, it's cool. For a kid, you got 6 guns in your house, you feel powerful. You're like, yeah, nobody can mess with me. Now I'm holding the guns, But in the reality of it is, they probably were looking for me to take the fall if something ever went really bad.
Because probably you wouldn't get punished as
Not
much.
as much, yeah.
And did you even know how to use a gun?
No, you never learn. Like, it's funny because there's no shooting range for gangsters.
Yeah.
It's not like you go to the shooting range and you start shooting.
And you can't practice. It makes noise.
No. Oh, sometimes you can, because if you go to the Bay, like between Marlboro and Coney Island, there's a lot of bays. If you go to the Bay, like right to the Bay, you actually can't shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, no people may hear it or not, but if you're like way, down in the Bay, before police come, no. So we've done that before. We go to the Bay and we shoot. Like sometimes, and these guns are small, like 22 calibers, and they're not really big. It's not like the crazy kids of today walking around with AR-15s. Nobody had an AR-15. Where would you get that from?
Like if you're 50 feet away from someone with a 22 caliber gun and you aim,
You're gonna miss.
You would
It's
miss?
99.9% you miss. Almost the shootings that we hear about, especially with the gang shootings, are usually close up. And even then, people miss. Look at 50 Cent. How many times he got shot? It's some crazy number. Not one bullet killed him because not one bullet hit him in the head.
yeah.
Now, were they trying to kill him? Of course they were trying to kill him. Were they trying to shoot him in the head? Of course they were trying to shoot him in the head. But 90% of the time, with the people who are shooting guns, they have no skill. So they're just shooting. But remember, the gun has kickback. So all these bullets are going everywhere, right? And that's why you hear these crazy stories. Yeah, I've been shot 5 times. I didn't die.
So like if you were walking down the street and you saw, let's just say 10 feet away from you, someone with a gun, who was thought was looking to shoot you.
Yeah.
What would you do right then?
Zigzag run.
So
It's like automatic. Automatic.
Yeah.
You run like this. 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna get hit. Unless you have bad luck, then you'll get hit. But 9 times out of 10, they will miss you.
And what if you're being mugged? So they're like kind of right in front of you and they're holding the gun out, but you could tell they're a little nervous or whatever, as someone would be. Like, what would you do?
It depends. Like it's happened to me already before. It's happened where I was
Because they tell people just comply and give your wallet and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, in most cases, yes. But it depends on the situation. And that's where like growing up in the projects comes into place. That kind of smarts, you can't learn this in school. So you have to research. Like I had a situation where I was with a friend of mine's, a close friend of mine's, and we were walking. About 5 kids walked past us. They all looked at us and we looked back at them. Then they walked about maybe 400 feet and they started coming back towards us. And I told my friend, I said, yo, I think something's about to go down. And we didn't have nothing on us at the time. We were just going somewhere. And they came back up to us and my friend and I was standing there. We just stopped. We stand there, right? Because the worst thing to do is run because they're going to chase you. So you got to hold your ground. So we stopped. The kids came up to us and the kids were like, oh, why are you grilling us? Meaning, why are you looking at us? And then I said, how would you know we're looking at you if you're not looking at us? And it got to some really dumb just argument about looking at each other. It's the stupidest thing ever. But when you're younger, it's like a serious thing. It got a little heated and the kid pulled out a gun and put it to my face, right? So there's 2 things you can do. You can either, yo, my bad, which might get you shot anyway, right? Because once you start to like back down, then that could get you shot, actually, right? People think if you just back down, you don't get shot. No, because now the person with the gun feels powerful and now you're a bitch. They might shoot you anyway. So the way I handled it was by staying firm, but not making him try to shoot. So what I said to him, I was like, what you gonna do with that? So there I am, I'm still standing firm. Why you gotta pull out a gun for? What you gonna do with that? You gonna shoot me with that? You think that's worth it? Over what? So I'm still in his face firm, but at the same time, I'm not saying stuff like, yo, you're a bitch, bro. So I'm not talking tribes because I can get shot.
Is there any way to kind of build middle ground? Like, hey, we all come from the same spot.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people use that.
Mm-hmm.
So in my case, worked out. I knew the kid's brother. The kid's brother was doing like 10 years in jail. And I knew the kid's brother because I used to run with his brother too. And then someone said my name, which is my gang name, which I'm not going to say. Someone said, oh, that's so-and-so, your brother's friend. And then that's how this thing stopped.
Because
right?
probably he doesn't want to shoot anyway. So this gives him an excuse.
Excuse to not shoot, but at the same time, not look weak in front of his friend.
Yeah.
Right. But I remember the week after that, when I did have something, I remember I was at high school. I was in school and me and my friend were standing outside and we saw the kid. We saw him and I was like, hey, my friend said, that's the kid from last week. And I said, no, it's not. He's like, it is. And even me, I didn't want to restart this problem. It was done. But I had to because my friend was there and I couldn't look weak. So we followed the kid to a store. He went into a store and I went to a store and I said, yo, I want to talk to you. And he remembered me. He wouldn't come out the store.
Really?
No, he would not come out the store because, you put a gun to someone's face and now someone's followed you somewhere randomly and just run up on you and say, I want to talk to you, you're not going to come out the store because, no. And then I told him, I said, listen, nothing's going to happen to you, bro. I just want to talk to you. Just come out the store. And he didn't want to come out the store. And I was like, bro, just come out the store. Nothing's going to happen to you. And he came out the store. And I told him, I says, you remember last week you put a gun in my face? I was like, never put a gun in someone's face and don't use it. I said, right now I could kill you right here. Right here. I could kill you here. And I said, like, for what? For what? For staring at people? I was like, it's real stupid. And I told him, I says, so what do you want to do? You want to keep this beef or you want to squash it? And then he chose to squash it, and that was the end of it. But
That's good.
But that's how things happen, Like I could have shot him there. And my crazy friend, this kid, he's really crazy. He wanted to shoot him.
Well, whatever happened to that kid,
So I didn't talk to him for a long time, but recently he's been like trying to contact me a little bit. So I do talk to him a little bit, but I just try not to make. I just talk to him as a distant friend because I just don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says as a distant friend, So I do a lot of ghosting. I'll talk to him and then not talk to him for a while, and then maybe talk to him a little bit and not talk to him for a while. But yeah, he's still around. But yeah. He wanted to shoot the guy, and I was like, yeah, we're not going to do that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love these clothes. Mizzen and Main. That's Mizzen and Main. It really is the most comfortable work clothes. Travel clothes. I had to travel this whole week. I'm traveling for a week and a half, and I just took Mizzen and Main clothes with me. Close out 2023 in style with comfortable, breathable, packable, and machine washable pieces from Mizzen and Main. As you wrap up your year-end goals, enjoy a Mizzen and Main dress shirt that you can wear confidently. I like that they've very, very just nice, solid colors. I don't really like to get all fancy in patterns and everything, although they do have some pattern shirts, but very comfortable clothes, stretchable pants. It's just super comfortable, but they look professional, and you can wear them casually or professionally. I like some of their flannel shirts or untuck shirts. I love untuck. I never tuck in. So again, whether you're shopping for a special someone or giving yourself the gift you really want, I just buy myself gifts. Mizzen and Main is the perfect gift for any guy who works, travels, and or cares about looking and feeling great. As you could tell by my many photos across the internet, I care about looking fantastic. I'm practically a model. And let's be honest, every guy loves to look great. So again, shop now at mizzenandmain.com and save 20% when you spend $130 or more using promo code James. That's promo code James at Mizzen and Main, Mizzen and Main.com. You know what I love about fantasy sports is that even though I'm not going to be a great basketball player or a baseball player or a football player or whatever, I feel like I get to participate and make decisions and use my knowledge of these different leagues or these different sports to compete. So it's like I can pick my team or I can pick my favorite players, and I could use my knowledge to make predictions and maybe even make money. So with the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League on Prize Picks. This is a league created specifically for combo projections that include two or more players from different sports or leagues. Want to play alongside some of Prize Picks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz, who's also been a guest on this podcast, and I've been a guest on his? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries for some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Look, Prize Picks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. What? So, I love playing it. I love anywhere where I can use analytical ability with my interests to demonstrate some skill and maybe make some money. And I like the game-like aspect. I do wish they had chess as a category on prizepicks.com, but I'll settle for what they've got. Maybe I should make my own fantasy chess league. But in any case, I love Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/James. Use code James for a first deposit match up to $100. That's the easiest $100 you're ever going to make. So that's prizepicks.com/James and use code James. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Before we get into what happened when you got caught with all these guns in school, like obviously you've been through a lot of these types of experiences, and we've talked about this before, just hanging out. But obviously, you build up some kind of, just like everybody does, based on their background. You build skills and different types of intelligence and instincts based on your background and what your experiences are. And these are kind of like scary life and death experiences, not only you had because of your stepdad, but because of your friends and these gangs and where you were living. Like, what can you see are the differences in your instincts between you and, let's say, other people like me or like other people you see that you know?
Oh.
You know people from all walks of
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, it's really, really different. Like for me, anybody who's around me will tell you, I know what's going on around me all the time. I know the conversation that's maybe 100 feet from me. I always know what's going on. I can read an area well. I can read a room well. You always hear about people a lot of times being in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's because a lot of people don't read what's going on.
But I sort of feel like everybody thinks they're good. I always hear from everybody, oh, I'm really good judge of people. Now, I admit, actually, I am not such a great judge of people. I tend to be a little too trusting, and
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. But why do you think you're really good at it? And I've seen examples where you're great at it. Like, what do you think it is? And also, do you see specific differences between yourself and other people? Like, have there been situations where the other people were very wrong and it was obvious you were right?
Well, because I don't trust anybody.
Mhm.
It takes me a while I don't trust anybody. I pretend like I trust people until I really trust them. But I don't trust anybody. I always take everything for what it is. And for me to trust them, like I have to really feel the energy and vibe with them. But I judge people really well. Like I there's little certain things that people do that gives me it's sort of like the spidey sense. And I get it
Like what?
like for example, like the thing we spoke about yesterday. Like let's say you have someone that you're with. Maybe it's a friend. It can even be a guy, a friend, and we're together in a group. And you come and introduce your friend, and we're all together talking. But your friend is kind of like standoffish or by himself or not really paying attention to
Not making an
not
attempt.
not paying attention to what's going on with the room or with the conversation, then I got a problem with that because that's just strange. That's like, a lot of times people do that when they're trying to hide something or when there's something that they're thinking about that doesn't match with what we're about. So you'll see people do that if they don't like your friends. Let's say you have some friends and they don't like your friends, you'll see a lot of times that person will be kind of like standoffish and not really engage in the conversation or even listen to the conversation, right? They'll probably be doing something, maybe say they're on their phone the whole time, right? And we're in a group, right? So because they're not interested or they don't have nothing to do with it, or they have something to hide that they don't want you to pick up. Like I've been in situations like that where people are hiding something, they don't want you to pick up. Like I'll give you an example. So the app Clubhouse, right? People go on there and they talk the craziestness of crazy things that they did. Oh yeah, I'm the CEO of this, or I did this, or I did that, or I'm this and that and that and this, right? So when I'm on the app, I tell them, I says, listen, I co-own a club called Spin in New York. You live in New York? Yeah, I live in New York. Why don't you come by and come have a drink? Very easy, right? You live in New York City. See, it's not that hard to come by the club, and they won't do it. They won't do it. Only the real ones do it.
Why do you think they won't do it?
Because they know that if they come and I meet them face to face, right, I'm going to tell that, oh, this guy's full of shit. And if I know they're full of shit, then that means they're thinking, well, if he finds out I'm full of shit, then I'm on Clubhouse. I can say, hey, this guy's full of shit. I know because I met him. So they won't come. And if they never come, I can think whatever I want to think, but I have no proof.
Right.
So they won't come meet me. It's crazy. I have a dude who like lives in my neighborhood and he talks all this big things, all this big talk. I invited that dude a million times. He never came. He lives in my neighborhood. And the guy just talks so much nonsense. And he's never came to meet me. I said, hey, you should come to my club. You got free drinks, free food. Just come hang out. Who doesn't want free drinks, free food, right? Come. Dude never came, man. And it's me trying to call him out.
And again, I feel like a lot of people automatically, I mean, it's like one of those things where 9 out of 10 people think they're above average at judging people.
Yeah.
But I've seen you, like the situation we were talking about last night, where I was kind of drastically wrong about someone.
Right.
And it turned out in a very surprising way, were surprisingly right. And it was a shocking thing.
Yeah.
And to the level of like national security kind of shocking.
It's crazy.
And but there's another thing I've seen you do though. Like one time we were going to another country and I saw you stopped at the airport. Everybody else is just getting through.
Yeah.
Like and you were stopped and they specifically called you out and they asked you, what is the nature of your business here? And they weren't asking anyone else. They saw like a dozen people in a row go through and then they call you out for what could be said as an obvious reason that they did that. But you were kind of hard back. Like
Yeah.
the way I am, if I'm in a situation like that, is I'm just going to immediately comply, yes, sir. Like, hey, I'm here for this. Thank you. But you were hard back. You were like, why are you asking me? You raised your voice. Why are you asking me? And I would have been afraid to do that because then I thought it might have escalated the trouble.
Right.
But it feels like you know where to push the edge. And maybe, again, I'm being simplistic. Like maybe you were stupid at doing that, but I kind of had a feeling you knew what you were doing.
Right.
Like you know where to push the edge.
Right. It's very similar to what I mentioned before about with the kid with the gun in my face. Like it's about not really backing down, standing your ground, but not escalating it at the same time. So it's not being soft, but at the same time, not escalating that situation. So like with the kid with the gun in my face, I wasn't going to back down from him, right? But I also wasn't going to escalate it in a way that I would get shot. So the same thing with the lady from the immigration thing, or whatever you want to call it, right? I wasn't going to back down. I wasn't going to be like, no, why are you asking me? Because I know how far I can take something.
What if she said, are you causing trouble for me right now?
And I would have been like, well, yes, if you're causing trouble for me. That's been my exact answer. Yes, if you're causing trouble for me. Because I know at the end of the day, I didn't do anything wrong. And
I see.
The worst that can happen is what? You're going to have me question? Let's go. Let's do it. I don't mind. We can question all day long.
And also you probably have a sense like of, okay, this is this type of country. Like if you were going into North Korea and the same thing happened.
Story.
Right.
Now we got.
And we'll get to that later because you've been to North Korea. But
now it's a different story because, North Korea said that you'll be arrested and no one would even know.
Yeah.
So in that case, it'd be a different story because I like you have to know how far you can take something and figure out, well, is it worth it? Is you being right worth being arrested for 15 years? And no, it's not. But I know here, there's nothing going to happen to me.
Right.
Right. Because I didn't do anything. And if something did happen, it'd be a problem. In North Korea is a different story. If something happened to you, no one would even know for a long time. And then it would be so hard for anyone to help you.
Yeah.
So those things I know.
And then what about in competition? And we'll get more into this later because we're still only at age 13 in your story where you're about to go to Africa and become the greatest ping pong player in history. But in competition, how do you think these instincts come into play? Because obviously there are people from different backgrounds who are great at competition and world champion level players like yourself. But like, how does this help you? These kind of instincts help you in competition?
Well, it helps a lot in terms of not letting your opponent know how you feel. I think a lot of times in competition, you see a lot of athletes. Body language is really important in competition. It's so important. Like, for example, let's say I'm playing someone and I made a great point and the guy goes, and you see his face get down. That gives me more fuel because now I know, I got this guy. So like the really good athletes, if you look at their body language, it's hard to tell if this guy's happy, if this guy's sad. Is he angry he lost that point? Some athletes show it more than others. Like some athletes might get really upset if they lose a point, but that just gives feel to another athlete. Like when you get upset and you're playing, like someone gets upset when they're playing me, I get more confidence.
And what does that do for you? Like, how do you change your play in order to take advantage of their lack of confidence?
Now I go on the attack. Because if you're angry and you're thinking about what happened in the last point, then it's hard for you to play the next point. So now, like in my sport in ping pong, now I say, oh, this guy's getting pissed off. Now I go on the attack. And now I'm going to attack you now. And now it's going to be harder for you because now you're still dwelling on the last point and you're still angry, right? So you won't be able to concentrate as much. Or I might give you maybe some really tricky serve now, right? Or I might even look at you. I might even look at you and smile. Or people do this. Like ping pong is also very mentally strategic. Like there's a lot of things that we do. Like for example, before I serve the ball, I might look at you. Like there was a guy who used to play for USA. He came from China. And this guy would give you 4 seconds of death stare. He did it to every single person. And he would just, before he served, he would hold the ball. He would look at you, just look into your eyes and it was the weirdest thing ever because you're like, bro, why is this guy looking at me like this? And that's what he did. But that was a mental thing.
Did it work for him?
Yes. He's one of the best players.
I sort of feel like, let's say, and maybe this is a different thing, but let's say I'm in a tournament playing chess and I just stare at the person on the other side. I sort of think he might be thinking, this guy's a jerk just about me.
Right. But that's where it starts, right? The first part is instead of him thinking about what the next move is, he's thinking about why is this guy staring at me? So really, you took him a bit off his game because the only thing he should be thinking about is that next move. He shouldn't be caring what you're looking at. But the fact that that would be in his head, why is this guy staring? He's a jerk. You've already took him just a bit off what he's supposed to be doing, which is focusing on the next move.
Yeah.
So they do it in ping pong a lot. Like people use all kinds of stuff. Like the other day was watching the matches and one of the Britain kids was playing against the USA junior I was coaching. And the USA junior was winning. He was doing really well. And the Britain kid made a point and he went, yo, and he put his hand in his fist and he looked at the kid I was coaching. Luckily, that doesn't bother that kid, which is amazing because normally kids get rattled by that. But I could see in his face, like his face just stood straight. Like it didn't show an emotion back towards what that kid from Great Britain was giving him.
Yeah.
And that made the Great Britain kid like a little bit uneasy because he played the next point and completely whiffed the ball. And then
See, that's the thing. It could backfire. When you try to do that, and the other person like makes face back at you or does nothing.
Yes. And then he went for the next shot and missed. And then the junior American was coaching and said, Joe, in his face. And it was so funny because, he thought, but some people will work on. Like sometimes the whole point of doing that is to get you angry, right? When you're playing a sport and you're fist pumping in someone's face and you're looking at them and I made this point, I'm good. It's actually saying, I made this point, you suck, you can't beat me. That's the language. So the person gets upset, right? Now you took them out of their game and now they're focused on trying to beat you because you made this stupid remark. You try to make them look stupid instead of trying to beat you because they need to beat you at this sport.
Right. So you have to really, if you're going to do that, that's a risk. If you're going to go like, that's a risk because it's so easy to backfire if someone's even modestly professional.
Yes, because if let's say you make a point, you go, and you're really loud, and the guy just rips the ball past you to the next point, that kind of makes you look stupid.
Yeah.
Right? And now you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how you're going to do it. But yeah, it makes you look stupid.
But I feel like with your, you have a very kind of larger than life, kind of style or character. And if you do it, it's going to throw people off.
But if I do it, it definitely throws, I remember in 2002, it was, or 2002, I think. I played my first pro tour. I played German Open, and I got destroyed by everybody. Right after that, I played Dutch Open. I lost to England, got destroyed. I lost to Russia. got destroyed. Then I had to play China, right? China is the best in the world by far. So of course, I was going to get destroyed. First game got destroyed 11-1. Second game got destroyed 11-2. Third game, I think it was like, I don't remember. No, I think it was 2-0, right? Or was it 3-0 first? I think it was 2-0 or 3. I don't remember. 2 or 3-0. And then my friend who's from Germany called timeout, and he said, "Come on, Wally, come on, you have to fight. You have to fight." And my friend's really funny because he's very fascinated about the whole gangster thing. "Come on, Wally, you a gangster. Pull, pull, pull." Like this. It's very funny. So, I went back to the table and I made a really fast serve that was an ace. And when I made the ace, I was like, "Yeah, that's it, baby. Come on. Come on." And I just flipped out. And the kid that I was playing, he was like, just what the he just, and then I did it again and he missed the second one. And I was up 2-0 against Chinese. And the kid just started getting nervous because he's never seen, actually no one's never seen someone like me going crazy like that. Like it was a fight. And I was very loud and I was in his head and I won a game. So I took a game off of Chinese. Then I won the next game, right? So, I think it was 2-0. It was 2-0. Then I won one game, then it was 2-1. He won the next game very close. Then I won it, right? 2-1. Then I won the next game. So it's 3-2. And this is an American who just started playing pro against the Chinese. And he was so nervous and so out of his game because of what I was doing. And then I was 9-6. I was 9-6 up in the sixth game. And everyone was watching because it's crazy that this American guy from New York City is trying to beat Chinese player. And it was 9-6 up. And then I did the wrong thing. I said to myself, let me calm down. Because the Chinese coach called timeout. And Chinese coach was very upset. And my German friend speaks fluent Chinese. And he was translating. And the Chinese coach said to the kid, he says, "If you lose to this guy, I've never saw this guy anywhere in the world. If you lose to him, you would never play in this country ever again."
Oh my gosh.
Kansas was furious. And for me, I always say, now I say it, it's one of my lessons. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And I fixed something that was not broken. I was beating him mentally. And my skill, of course, wasn't the same level. He was definitely way better than me. But in the mental department, he was by far below me. After the timeout, I figured, I can win this, which was the wrong thing to do. Let me calm down and focus. And I lost the match, 11-9.
Oh my gosh, so you didn't get a single point after that?
No, I lost the match, 11-9.
And now, so that's sports and that's ping pong. You've also been in like business situations and sales situations. When do you think these instincts, come into play there?
I just think like in the terms of like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like that was a valuable lesson I learned. Like if something is working, continue to do it. Why change it? Why out of nowhere you decide to change it, right? Because can make it better? It's possible, right? But it's also possible that it could make it a lot worse, right? So now in life, I always say if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like I see my students do it all the time. They do it all the time in a match. They'll be playing, they'll be doing something that works, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they try something new and then wind up losing the match because of it.
I could see this happening like in a negotiating sense. Like let's say in a business setting, I've been in situations where someone wants to negotiate with me, like let's say buy a service or buy a company or whatever. And at first I'm all confident because they want something I have. But then as it gets close and I see the potential rewards, I get nervous and I start being more compliant to that.
Yes.
And then everything switches and it could be over after that.
Right.
So that's important to kind of like stick to what worked is good advice. So, 13 years old, how did they catch you with the gun?
Yeah, so actually 14. So I was in school and I had it in my locker. And I think someone maybe told. I don't know. I'm sure someone told because I didn't have it on me when I got caught. It was in the locker. And they came to the class and they said, they said we found something in your locker because they couldn't, I guess they didn't want to alarm the class. And then the principal took me out of the classroom And then we went, and I already knew. I already knew. I already knew what it was. Like once they said that, I knew.
Could you have said, "Oh, that must have been put in my locker"? Well, I was not there.
I mean, I could have said that, but
I feel like that's like what a lawyer would say.
Yeah, that wasn't gonna work because prints all over it.
Yeah.
And, police were there, and got arrested, and they went through this stupid process, and the end result was because I had prior problems already. I had a lot of problems as a kid with weapons, whether it's knives or guns or even smaller stuff. Wasn't really small because those could have been like felonies, like a lot of gang fighting,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. They wanted to. They were thinking about giving me 10 years. 10 years is crazy.
Wait, 14 though. Are they allowed to do that?
Yeah, they can give you from juvenile to adult.
Mhm.
It's not like because you're juvenile, you're like 17 and say, okay, yeah, he's got a gun. We just can only give him 1 year. No, it's whatever the law says for the crime. And so I always had good grades. So my other outlet, so the first outlet was the gang, the second outlet was sports. So I played every sport in school because I didn't want to be home.
Yeah.
Right. I hated being home, with all the abuse. So the other thing was sports. So I played every sport in school. Everything I could play, I played because you got practice in the morning, practice at night, in the evening. By the time you get home, you're tired and numb to all the nonsense going on. So I just played sports, every sport. And I was good at every single sport. But the other problem is that in order to stay on a team, you have to have good grades. If you have bad grades, then you couldn't be on a team. So I made sure I had good grades by having people do the work for me. Like if I needed an essay written, I had someone to do it. Like everything, I had someone to do. If I didn't have notes,
How would you get someone to write your essay?
I would tell them, hey, I need to write this. People were scared of me in school. And they weren't scared of me, they were scared of the gang I was in.
Huh.
So people would do it. And it was sort of like, if you help me, I help you. If someone bothers you, I got your back. So I had people doing a lot of my school, especially mathematics, all of it. Actually, all of it. Even through college, even when I got to college, I don't think I think all my math, I think I cheated the whole way. I'm almost positive.
Huh.
I don't like math. I hate math. And so all through anything that I didn't like, I had people do it. And that's how I kept my grades. So I had good grades in school. And so my mom used that as a way for me to not go to jail, but go to fucking boarding school.
So was she talking to a judge? Was she talking to
judge,
the police?
lawyer, judge and lawyer.
Mhm.
And they said that I have good grades. And if I was to do, lengthy time as a kid, then what do you call it? Like my life would be ruined, which would be. And and it happens to a lot of kids. A lot of kids go do some dumb shit. They get 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And after that, you're pretty much almost useless. I mean, you can't do anything. I mean, because those are the most important times of your of your life. And so my mom used this to get a deal where I would go to boarding school in Africa. So I was supposed to go to boarding. So I went to boarding school in Africa.
And was it did the judge agree to you could go to any boarding school, or like it had to be out of the country, or
I don't
be
know.
in Africa?
I don't know how they came to that thing, but it was in Africa.
Where in Africa?
In Nigeria. So
Okay.
it was 2 years.
How'd she find the school? Like what?
Oh, so she has family, friends that we do. And then my dad, family is originally from there as well. So she knew about it and stuff. And everyone always told her, oh man, you need to send him to Africa. Everyone always says this. You need to send him there. They'll discipline him. They'll beat the good into him. That's the exact words. Like they'll beat the good into him. So it all worked out some miraculous way. And I wound up going to Africa to boarding school.
Were you excited about it?
No, I hated it. I hated every minute of it. I didn't want to go.
But like before you went, you were like,
yeah, I'm not going there. I was like, I don't want to go there.
but would you have? I mean, you knew the choice was that or jail.
In my mind, jail seemed better
Wow.
because in my mind, I was like, okay, it's jail. I've been arrested a lot of times.
Uh-huh.
I never did time. I've been arrested a lot of times, but that seemed better than going to another country where I knew no one, I didn't know the language, I don't know anybody. And so I went there for 2 years. It was 2 years there. The first
Did
year
you come back at all during the 2
So
years?
the first year I went, I was supposed to come visit. And I told them, I said, with my big mouth, I always had a big mouth, I can't wait to go back. I'm never coming back here. And they said, oh, yeah? They tore my ticket up.
Wow.
So I didn't get to come visit.
This is such a valuable service for all business owners, big businesses, small businesses, doesn't matter. I wish I had this in the many different businesses that I've started. Sometimes it seems like your business is humming, but then suddenly you don't understand it. You're starting to fall behind. You're not understanding where your costs are, where your revenues are, where your payments are. Teams are buried in all sorts of like BS work, and you can't seem to close the books. So you need like one dashboard, one source of truth. I'm jealous of this business, NetSuite from Oracle, of course, NetSuite by Oracle. I wish I'd come up with this idea. It's a brilliant concept to have all your business intelligence on one dashboard. This is why you need to know these three numbers: 37,000, 25, and 1. So 37,000, that's the number of businesses which have upgraded to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the number one cloud financial system, streamlining accounting, financial management, inventory, HR, and more. 25. NetSuite turns 25 this year. That's 25 years of helping businesses do more with less, close their books in days, not weeks, and drive down costs. 1, because your business is one of a kind. So you get a customized solution for all of your key performance indicators, your KPIs, in one efficient system with one source of truth. Manage risk, get reliable forecasts, and improve margins. Everything you need to grow all in one place. So right now, download NetSuite's popular KPI checklist designed to give you consistently excellent performance absolutely free at netsuite.com/James. That's netsuite.com/James to get your own KPI checklist. netsuite.com/James. The future of learning is definitely online. Like, it's such BS that you have to spend $200,000 or take $200,000 in loans and go to some fancy school when it's useless. It doesn't guarantee you a job. Most employers, including me, do not care about degrees or grades or anything like that. We want to care that you love what you're doing, that you know what you're doing, in some cases that you have experience or that you're willing to learn. But people in general love learning and are curious. Like, the key to success is curiosity. And I think masterclass.com is the perfect model for online learning. I'm really happy they're sponsoring this episode. If you're going to give a gift, give the gift of learning. Masterclass makes a meaningful gift this season for you and anyone on your list, because both of you can learn from the best to become your best, from leadership to effective communication to cooking. Let me tell you some of the classes I've taken. I've taken comedy from Steve Martin. I mean, can you believe I can take a class from Steve Martin on comedy, or Judd Apatow, my favorite comedy director? I could take an actual class from him on writing. Wolfgang Puck on cooking. Dan Brown on writing, or Judy Bloom, who's been on this podcast, on writing. By the way, Wolfgang Puck also has been on this podcast. It's such a pleasure. I try to take classes all the time from masterclass.com. And whether you're watching Masterclass on TV or listening in audio mode in the app or on their site, the quality speaks for itself. It's like these Masterclass instructors are your own personal mentors that are going to help you reach the next level. How much would it cost to take one-on-one classes on comedy from Steve Martin, or on chess from Gary Kasparov? You just wouldn't be able to do it. But it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. With a Masterclass annual membership, it's $10 a month. Memberships start at $120 a year for unlimited access to one-on-one classes with all 180 plus Masterclass instructors. So it's not just $120 for one instructor. You get all 180 plus Masterclass instructors. Boost your confidence and find practical takeaways you can apply to your life and at work. And if you own a business or are a team leader, use Masterclass to empower and create future-ready employees and leaders. That's the real education in today's world. So
this holiday season, you can give one annual membership and get one free at masterclass.com/JAS. JAS, of course, stands for the James Altucher Show. So right now you can get 2 memberships for the price of one at masterclass.com/JAS. Masterclass.com/JAS. Offer terms apply. So wait, so you land in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I guess the school picked you up
Picked you up,
somehow.
yeah.
And you get to the dormitory. It's a boarding school, so there's other kids who are living there.
Yeah.
Probably most of them are from Nigeria, from
All
different
of
parts of
them, all
Nigeria.
of them, from Africa.
So like all from all over, but they're living there. And they all knew each other, and you're the new kid from America. What was like their first response to you?
It was mixed. It was weird because they're all African and I'm American. So there's sort of like a racism kind of thing, where they used to say this word, I can't remember what the language was, but it meant the kid who eats butter. So they would say, I eat butter because I'm soft. Or I wasn't the real black. That was another one. So, I left America from fighting to go there to fight more. But at least the fighting there was safer. Like it wasn't like someone was gonna stab you or you were gonna get jumped. Like you never got jumped. No one ever jumped you. It was, if you would fight someone, everyone was gonna come out to watch and it was a fair fight. It was never 2 people, 3, never kind of thing.
And this is what I don't understand. When you say fight, like, do people like, okay, you're facing your opponent. Maybe it was like the bully in school or someone would pick on you and he's like outside. And now you're facing him. Does he start off like, does he punch you in the face? Like what's the fight like?
Oh no. So as soon, if you're gonna fight, people are gonna come out and they're gonna watch and you just start. Well, someone's gonna throw a first punch. Someone maybe not gonna throw a first punch. Maybe there's talking in the beginning a little bit, but a lot of times it's almost like looks like a cage fighting.
But like, is there a skill level? Like do they know some things that you don't know? Because you were used to fighting with a gang behind you and maybe a knife or a weapon.
No, you're just throwing. You're just throwing down, wrestling, grabbing. I wrestled.
So the wrestling must have helped.
Yeah, of course, because I know how to take people down, but it didn't get to wrestling. There's a lot of punches, and it's just fighting. And then after the fight, that was it. It wasn't like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you tomorrow. No, it was it. If you got beat up, so you take your ass whipping, you shake hands, and then you became friends. Actually, the dude, I gave him a big knot in his forehead. We became good, like best friends. So that's how it works usually. You fight it out, you get the anger out, and then that's it. That's never talked about again.
So after like a few months in this school, were you friends because you had been fighting with?
Yeah. I had a lot of friends like who liked me because I was American and from New York. Then I had a lot of people who didn't like me because I wasn't the real black. But I came from a gang background and I was always fighting. So if someone I remember the prefects. So like in the school, if someone's in a higher grade than you, they can tell you what to do. It's the craziest thing. Like they would say, hey boy, come clean my classroom. And I'd be like, you're out of your mind. I'm not cleaning your classroom. I would get hit. And after a while, you can't really. So the reason this system works is that you can't win in this system. It's impossible. Let's say a teacher says, hey, put a math problem on the board, and you put the wrong problem on the board, you're going to get hit, right? Now, you can say, no, you're not going to hit me. Then the teacher's going to say, I'm not going to hit you. Okay. Eric, John, hold him. And Eric, John is like your best friends. You know what they're going to do? They're going to hold you because they don't want to get hit. So they're going to hold you so that you can get hit. And that's how it works. So eventually you can't fight anymore. Okay, you can fight the people who will try to bully you outside of school. But in school, there's no chance. Because there's no way you can win. It's no way because everybody will they'll just tell everybody to hold you. And that's it. And you're going to get hit. So I used to get lines in my legs. I used to get hit all the time. And then there was some teachers who felt bad for me. Like my English teacher, my French teacher, and they weren't so hard on me. My math teacher hated me. The math teacher was really scary, man. He was this big African dude, light in complexion, and he had like this crazy bald head with like this crazy scar, as if someone poured like oil on his head. That's what it looked like. Like, burned all over his head. And this dude came in with like a stick. So each teacher comes in with a different kind of stick, depending on what they like. Some come in with the really thin ones that when he hits you, it doesn't, it hurts, but that one's gonna leave the marks because it's very thin. Someone coming with like thick sticks, like this teacher came with a big, thick one like this. You get hit with that, you know you got hit. And I hated this dude, man. He hated me. And he would always pick on me to go put the answer to the math question because he knew that I wouldn't knew it. So I could get hit. Because a lot of times it was all about breaking the American. You know, we got to break this horse. He's like,
Were you the
wild
only
horse.
American in the school?
Yeah, in the school, yeah. And we have to break him. Because the part I didn't tell you about, the first time I got to the school, the first day, host family was talking to some of the staff members. I think they were signing me up. And I was just in the compound, just kind of like hanging out. A guy walks up to me, hits me in the head with a stick, and says something in the language. And I was like, what the hell? And I started like swinging on him and like trying to kick him. The people ran out and was like, what's going on? I said, he's fucking trying to hit me in the head with a stick. So it was the principal of the school.
Oh my gosh.
So that made life in school for me even worse because the principal of the school is like God. And you don't even look at him in the eyes. You look down, you know, and here I am trying to beat up the principal. So everybody was like, who's this guy? It's like, oh, it's an American guy. Oh, American? Okay. So they considered me like a wild horse, and they were gonna break this wild horse. And that's why school was rough, man. Like everybody who had power, like, let me know that this is our country and this is how we do it. You're not gonna have a choice.
And that was year one. Year two, did you
Yeah,
start to get better or?
No, it was, I mean, I had more friends by year two, but it didn't get better. I got better. So I started to be more respectful, kind of comply.
So they did break you.
Yeah, it did. There was no way to not get broken.
Right.
It's impossible. Unless you get hit. Now, unless you like limitless amounts of pain, then yeah, but I didn't like to be hit.
So by the time you came back, like, first off, did you go to school when you came back?
Yeah.
Or did you finish high school in Nigeria?
No, I came back.
And like, did your old friends, were they like, Wally, what the hell happened to
Yeah,
you?
they were laughing at me because I had an accent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, throw me the ball. And they would laugh at me. Yeah, I had this crazy accent, but I was much stronger.
Right.
I've been fighting. And also, when I was there, I joined a couple of things. I joined first I joined Boy Scouts. And the Boy Scouts in Africa are very different than the Boy Scouts in America. Then I joined a thing called Man of War. And Man of War is this crazy, it's like Boy Scouts times 100. You even wear like this military outfit with a beret. It was crazy. And they make you do dumb things like, they would call it falling like a leg of a tree, right? So you would have to stand straight up. You would have to hold your hands in so that your forearms were showing, and you would just fall straight. You stand straight up and just fall straight down to the ground onto your forearm.
Did anyone break their arms doing that?
I just didn't want to break it, but in the beginning it was scary. And if you didn't do it, you got hit.
Yeah.
So
How would you do it though? Like, I can't even imagine doing
just
that.
stand straight up and you fall.
I almost don't think I can let myself fall. Like, I
Yeah.
would turn to the side a little bit.
Oh, you'll let yourself fall. Like once you get hit, once you don't, because the thing was, there was no choices.
I mean, you could hurt your head.
Yeah, I mean, let's say your forearm or your top body is weak and you hit your face into the floor. But if you didn't do it, you were gonna get whipped. So there was no, you just had to do it. And so I remember my forearms were all swollen, but after a while you get used to it. So when I came back, I was much stronger. And I thought I was ready to protect my mom. So that was one of the things that, I came back much stronger. I wasn't afraid of my stepfather anymore at all, like zero.
And how did he react to you when you came back?
He didn't care. He never cared. It wasn't even like he was happy to see me at all anyway. So my mom was very happy. But for him, because now he had another son. He had a son from my mom, my stepbrother, and that was like the golden child, right? Yeah, he definitely didn't care. But that's where the craziness came after.
Oh, so what happened then?
So there was a day I was at home and my stepfather was grabbing my mother by the throat. I don't know, they had some argument earlier and it went over. Like when they would argue, it would start like in the morning and go into the evening. It was just crazy. They were in the kitchen and then he just grabbed her by the throat. I guess he wanted to hit her. And I looked back and I didn't say anything. I just looked. I didn't even say, I didn't even get up. I didn't say anything. I just looked. And then when I looked, he told me, he goes, "Oh, if you look over here again, you're going to get the same exact thing." And then I just lost it. Like all the years of abuse, just lost it. I ran out the house. At this time, there were no guns in my house. They were all at my friend's house. So I ran out the house, went back. I don't even remember running out of the house. I don't even remember coming back with a gun. The only part I remember is when I put the gun to his face. And then I ran out the house. I got a gun from the friend's house, came back, put the gun to his face, and I was going to shoot him. And I remember I was shaking, I was crying, and my mom called the police. You know, she was like, "Stop, son." She called the police and she said, "Oh, you guys need to hurry. If you don't, if my son's trying to kill my husband." That's what she said. She didn't say my husband was beating shot and choking me. She said my son's trying to kill my husband. And I just fucking lost it. Like I started crying. I started having this like crazy feeling of like betrayal because you know all your life as a kid you want to protect your mom. Right? Every kid wants to protect his mom. And when you see your mom getting beat up, punched in the face, choked, kicked, you know, you want to protect your mom, but you can't. Now I finally could. And then my mom just turned. So it was almost like all the insides of me was ripped out and I was just a shell. I almost shot my mom and my stepfather. Like it was so close. It was really, really, really close because I was just crying and I was shaking and I knew the police were coming. Like I have I call it the background mind. So like when you're in a situation, I still have something. So some people get in a situation, they have nothing. And so only thing they can think about is the scenario that they're in. I get in a situation, there's always another part of me that's thinking about something else. So as I'm like, you know, crying and shaking and I want to shoot my mom and him. I want to end both of them. Something says, "Hey, if you do this right now, everything your stepfather said about you is going to happen today.
Mm.
Everything." Right. And in the same part
And what was your stepfather? The guns in his base. Your mom's.
Oh man, he's trying to go through we had this door and it told him out a window with glass. He was trying to go through the glass. He couldn't go anywhere because I was right in front of him. There's no way to run.
Was he saying anything to you?
He was like, "Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this." He was scared to death because I never confronted him ever. Like I was scared to even show him that I was angry because what would happen is they would argue, they would fight. After I would hug my mom, she'd be bleeding. And then they would go and have sex and I'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
I didn't cause this. Why am I in trouble? I'd be punished. Seriously. I'd be punished. And that was a way for him to keep control over me. So I would be punished all the time for nothing. They would have to fight. I would hug my mom because that's what you're supposed to do. When your mom's crying and bloody, you hug her. And then I would get punished after they made up. So my mom would turn against me. He would turn against me. And I was the bad one. But I didn't cause this nonsense, right? But that was a way to keep control over me so that I wouldn't try to help my mom. Like all this stuff I figured out like years later of why he was doing it. Like none of my family came to my house. None of them. My grandmother, never. My uncle, never. They never came in my house, ever, ever. How's that possible? My mom has 5 brothers, 5. They've never stepped foot in my house.
None of them ever said to your stepdad, "Hey, don't touch her."
They would come. This is what would happen. My mom would call them. They would come, but then my mom wouldn't let them in. So they got fed up. Every time they come, my mom would not let them in. And so they've never been in my house. And then I didn't realize this until like actually very, very recently because of Clubhouse, because of the app, because I started learning about what narcissism is and what a narcissist does. One of the things that they do is they keep you away from your family. So my stepfather was keeping my mom's family away from her, right? So that he could do whatever he wanted to. That's why my uncles never came. If I went to see my uncles, I would go to their house, but they never came to my house ever.
So in this situation, the police were on their way.
So the
Your
other
dad's
side,
crying.
yeah. So the other side of me was like, you need to get out of his house, right? So I just said, you know what, you two deserve each other, and I hope you die together. And I just left, never went back again.
You never went back to that
Nope,
house again.
Nope. Gone, left.
Where'd you go?
And hang out with my friends.
Uh-huh.
Stay at a friend's house, for a couple times. I lived in the street. Like we just broke night every day, meaning like we just fucking hung out like crackheads. We just up every night doing dumb stuff.
Like,
And
where
then
would you sleep though?
up maybe like on a train or either if I sleep at a friend's house, if you had a basement or something like this, that's what I do. And I did that for like almost a year, just like hanging out in the street.
Did your mom ever reach out and say, "Hey, Wally, come
Because she
on
couldn't
back"?
find me.
Mhm.
I was no way.
What in school she could find you?
I really stopped. I stopped going for like a year, and then I got stopped by police one time though. But they couldn't prove shit. If my mom said I had a gun, I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I said it was a plastic gun. It wasn't even real. And the guy was like, "Where is it?" I said, I threw it away. But they had nothing on me. And,
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just stopped talking to them, stopped talking to her, and that was it. And then I started.
So you never heard though she wanted to reach out to you and patch things up?
No.
Have you talked?
I didn't talk to my mom for years, like many years. Actually, I didn't talk to her for years. And then, like, after I did all my table tennis stuff and became a little bit successful, I tried to talk to her, but I couldn't because she wouldn't acknowledge. No, all you gotta do is just say sorry. I'm the most easy person in the world. We could have the craziest fight, angry. If you say, yo, my bad, I'm good. It's like almost it didn't exist. That's my character. She wouldn't even like acknowledge. And then every time I spoke to her, it just made me really intensely angry because I'm thinking, my thought pattern is that imagine if the cops would have came. Imagine if I didn't get out of there.
Yeah.
I already got a break. Then I went to Africa. Now I came back and I'm doing some dumb shit again. I've probably been in jail for like 20 years or whatever. So you were willing to put your son in jail for a guy who's been beating you all your life, all the time that we've been with this dude. You're willing to put your son in jail over him. So every time I think about that, it makes me really so angry. And when I talked to her, when I was talking on the phone, and she wouldn't apologize for that, it made me really, really, and it started it started to just give me dark thoughts. And then I was like, I can't do this. So then I stopped talking to her.
Or she could have even just been honest with you and say, "Look, I didn't want you to kill him because you still would have gone to jail." Would have even been
Right.
worse.
At least say something, but to not like acknowledge anything and not, it used to make me really, really.
Did she
crazy.
stay with him?
Yes. It's madness. Like she stayed with him till he passed, and the only reason I knew he passed was because like I cut all my family off. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. So I cut everyone off, and people find you through Facebook or whatever, and social media. And one of my uncles contacted me, and I started talking to him a little bit, and he found out that my stepfather died.
Mm.
It was like maybe, I want to say 6 years ago, about.
That's like kind of right before I met you.
Yeah, maybe right before me. Yeah. So he found out that, I don't know how he found out, but he knew that he died. And he was very happy for it. He made it known because that was my mom's youngest brother. And that was the one that she would always call. And he would always come with a bat.
What about your younger stepbrother, like the golden child?
He died very recently too.
Oh, really?
He died, I think it was either during the pandemic or right before the pandemic.
How did he die?
Heart attack.
Really, a heart attack?
Yeah, so my stepbrother lived a crazy life up until he died. Like I changed, I found a sport, changed my life. My stepbrother, on the other hand, he
Like, what was the craziest thing about his life?
oh man, he was like a pimp, like a real pimp. Like,
How old is he?
oh man, my stepbrother's gotta be like maybe late 30s. And he was a pimp, like a real pimp, like a real pimp. And he was definitely living that real gangster life. Because when I was doing my thing, he was also part of the gang as well.
Yeah.
But he was younger. But he never changed. And so I don't know. And then also, I don't know why he died, because when he passed, how did I find out? I'm trying to remember how I found out he passed. That's how my other friend contacted me on Instagram and was like, "Yo, Victor passed. Maybe you should call his wife." And I don't know his family. Like, I've never met his wife. So it was one of the most hard thing to do. Like, what do you say? Like, I don't know them. I didn't even know what to say. And so I just called and said, "Hey, I'm Victor's brother. Sorry to hear that this happened. And I'm gonna have the family call you." And then I had to like reach out to all the family that I don't talk to and have them call her, which they freaking never did, because I called her back and she didn't call. So I had to reach out again and say, "Hey." And then yeah, it was.
And what was she like? I mean, her husband was a pimp.
I don't know. I don't know, because I don't know her. Like, I never met her. Is maybe the second time I spoke to her in a period of.
But was she nice or?
Yeah, she was nice. Because I just started talking to her in the last 2 years before he passed. Like, once in a while.
Yeah.
Like, I think I spoke to my brother in 2 years. I spoke to him maybe 5 times.
Mhm.
And then I would say hello to her. But I don't know her. I never met her. And so just to have to call her and offer condolences was really strange, because I didn't know what to say. And plus my mom was living there also. And so now it became this thing where my friend was like, "Hey, maybe you have to go pick up your mom." I was like, "That shit's not gonna happen, bro." I was like I went to a conversation with him. Like, that's what's not gonna happen.
And why do you think your little brother had a heart attack so young, in his 30s?
I think bad health. My little bro's huge. He was huge. Like, he was a big guy, huge. And no exercise, oily foods, like just really bad health. Like, nobody expected
By the
it.
way, I was thinking about that. This is like another topic, but you don't really eat a lot.
No. Yeah, I don't eat much. I don't eat much.
Like what? Like, and again, this is off topic a little bit, but I've been thinking about it. Like, what is your daily diet? Like, what do you think about?
Like, I can go the whole day without eating, actually. The entire day. Like, a lot of times.
And you have a lot of energy.
Yeah, like when we were going to, we're doing the tournament stuff. Like, I wake up, I don't eat. I actually don't eat breakfast. Like, today I did, and all I had was like 2 slices of wheat toast and 2 small waffles, and that was it. But I can go the whole day without eating, like the whole day. And then at night, I'll eat something.
That's probably healthier.
I don't know, maybe. But I remember when I was in sports, my mom used to always complain, say, "Oh, you're an athlete. You need to eat." I've been doing this since I was a kid.
Yeah, for competition. Like, let's say you have a big ping pong tournament the next day. Do you
I
think
won't
about
eat.
food?
No, I can't eat before a competition. Because
That day or the day before?
a day before I will. Like day before, if let's say I have a big competition all day, then I'm gonna have my pasta. I'm a big fan of like eating pasta with meat sauce. I'll eat that because I know that'll give me energy, but I won't eat anything that whole day. I maybe have like a granola bar, just something to snack on, but I won't eat food. I won't have breakfast.
Like if you have a 2 p.m. match, for instance, you
Yeah.
wake up at 9 a.m., you won't eat between 9 and 2.
No.
Coffee, tea.
Tea. I drink tea every day. Like, I drink tea a lot. That's my
But
thing.
like you're probably, already acclimated to it. It probably doesn't do anything for you other than quench your thirst.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you extra energy.
Well, it gives me black tea is like my wake up thing. It'll wake me up.
And then before the match, so let's say the match is at noon or 2, we do anything at like 1:30, like
no.
just gum or
Maybe if I have like a granola bar or something.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I don't like to eat before I play sports because it makes me tired.
Yeah,
I
okay,
just
because you're
feel
digesting
sluggish.
it.
Yeah.
Like your body's digesting it.
I feel sluggish. So I never eat. So that's where that came from. I think that's why I do that. Because I've always played sports all my life. And I never eat in the morning. So I'll go the whole day and don't eat. And I'm good. I don't feel hungry. And if I'm hungry, I'll have like something, granola bar or something like that.
Not a bag of potato chips or anything?
Oh, no. I actually don't like potato chips so much.
This one's part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. Great stories all throughout. I hope you enjoy.
Whether in person or remote, open communication with your doctor is key to managing any condition, including heart failure.
How have you been feeling? I'm okay.
Both are great options to continue having open conversations with your doctor about how you're feeling.
I've had less energy.
And when you speak openly with your doctor, they're better equipped to help. Visit heartfailuretalks.com to learn more.
Luxury is meant to be livable. Discover the new leather collection at Ashley with premium quality leather sofas, recliners, and more, all built to last. No matter how many spills, scuffs, or pet-related mishaps come its way, the leather collection at Ashley is made with the durability you need for the whole family. Shop the new leather collection at Ashley and find chairs starting at $499.99 and sofas at $599.99. Ashley, for the love of home.